For those that aren't aware, this is a $300 show match, 3v3, hosted by Lidakor. Shout out to him, by the way. Check that dude out. He's always doing amazing things for the community, and I love to see it. But let's get underway and in-game with this one. So it looks like it is not going to be Boulder Bay. Wow. Is this Ancient Spires? This is a really, really funky generation of Ancient Spires. I dig it, actually. It's kind of cool. It's very unique. I don't know if it's going to be... I'd have to, like, very astutely look through in detail all these locations to feel if it was balanced. But I definitely like the layout. The layout itself is really cool in this one, guys. You can see you've basically got mostly no ground to cover on the outskirts. Very, very, very thin places, especially on the south side here. And then you've got this central area with these big basins on each side. And overall, I would say water areas are fairly balanced. In fact, it looks like I haven't got fish logos, so it's hard to actually weigh it up. Yeah, there's a few over here. It does look like in some ways maybe the South team, which is Vietnam Legends, got a little bit easier in terms of the layout, because I think they've got a lot more branching little pools here to play with, basically. But those who are unsure what's going on here, as I said, $300 tournament. Game number 2, game number 1. It went the way of HMC, as you can see from the score at the top right. And then Vietnam Legends. Well, in that game, it was a mirror-mirror matchup, and they got outdone. This game, it's a little bit different, all right? Someone brought their 5 spice because, of course, the Vietnam boys have switched it up compared to their opponents on the final pick, because MarineLorD will be on Delhi, but VNS is going to be on the Chinese. Everything else is mirrored. So we've got a Mongol on each side, and we've got an HRE player on each side. And the HRE players seem to be stationed far back, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so they are somewhat out of the way. Remember, the crossing is a little bit more to the north on the center, so this might allow them to be a bit more greedy with their boom up. Yeah, this is crazy for a spawn. I actually like this spawn. This definitely isn't the Ancient Spires I'm used to seeing. I think most tournaments weren't even allowing Ancient Spires, if I recall correctly. I know there was previously a bug of some kind. I never found out the details surrounding it. So that was kind of not being played. I wonder if it was just the generation being too funky and not balanced. But this one overall feels reasonable. Looking at the Sacred Site locations as well, looks pretty good. I think there's only 2 on this map. Maybe this one's a bit biased towards the northern team. But other than that, I like it. I actually dig it. So I guess we should start talking about win conditions for these teams, right? Because when you talk about this kind of synergistic nature of these different civs, it opens up different possibilities of times when you can take over the game. I think both teams are probably likely to prioritize the HRE play on booming up. I think MarineLorD is already going to move out, as we see, and take control of these central basins. In fact, I want to see MarineLorD run to this southern one as well. Remember that he's playing as the Delhi, so he has the ability to lock the water out at Dark Age. And that can give you a big boost up, because one big detail you have to keep in mind with Delhi in these 3-on-3s, 2-on-2s compared to 1-on-1s is while you can find value in the fishing fleets and the 1-on-1, there's a small gap, right, where like you can exploit it, and you maybe snipe a few fishing boats before they get up to feudal. However, in a 3-on-3, if your opponent's going to the central basins here, the central lakes, you can just sink so many ships. You have to keep in mind the number you would have gotten a 1v1 has to be tripped, because there's not enough garrison point to save them, and feudal still will be a decent margin away for a lot of these players, especially when you consider the initial run out to get on the water. But it looks like they've been wise to that. So far from what I'm seeing, VNS going on this small little puddle here, and I think that's literally it. I can't see any other signs of the players moving onto the waterfront, which is a little bit surprising. It looked like Bact was considering it, but I guess he'll just wait. They respect the fact that they're up against a Delhi player. This does give a huge edge to Hera, though, in the HRE matchup. And both of these players, their win condition is a quick castle, and then they're looking for easy relics. And it looks like, well, Hera at least got 2 easy ones really close to his base that will never be contested. And it seems to be the same for Bact. Bact has even more, though, 1 bank behind here. So overall, I think generation-wise, this favors Bact a little bit because his relics are easier to gather and less further away. We'll see if that comes into play, because I think Hera being on water might give him the edge to tech up faster, and then it will negate this difference of a long walk to his 3rd relic. As for frontline, let's check what the Mogul players are doing, because this is where we discover those win conditions we're talking about. We're looking for what happens at the start of feudal to understand like what the gap close, right? What the actual condition is, the objective to win this game is for both teams. So opening-wise, we've already got a Rax and a stable down. So it looks like ACCM is planning to play into Pro Scouts and will likely forgo the water almost entirely. In fact, he's playing into Outposts. It's a really popular strategy against these early fishing vessels. Really cool idea out of ACCM. And that's the other value you get out of scouts, right? You're going to use them for pro scouts, but in the meantime, use them as garrison buddies. You just stick them inside buildings and also use them to burn down buildings. And Capoch, I don't think he's underway with the tech up yet. No, he hasn't begun. So if he loses this dock, it's going to be a big loss. Meanwhile, MarineLorD, you can see he's just got this whole lake to himself. Nobody's likely to ever contest him. I like the walls coming out on the side from VNS. VNS just already showing he wants to play a more greedy China. Because that's the potential you have, right? Delhi aren't really that great at eco-booming, not in the early mid-game. It's more about late-game economy because they save so much on their researchers costing nothing. But the comparative here is China has a lot more scalability in the early phases of the game, courtesy of TC booming and Song Dynasty, right? And then the power they get immediately into castle of the economy as well as their military. So, Capoch bringing out the first spearman. Few coming out for ACCM as well. He needs to be careful. He's going to get pinched here. Big deal. Could lose a lot of scouts. One already down. Pushing back the spearman for the moment, but I don't know why. Capoch could actually just pin him in right now. And he'll finally stand his ground and start stabbing him down. They'll eventually kill off the spears, but they're going to lose multiple troops for it. And so many scouts should be dying to this. But the spearman actually being ignored. Capoch, he went after the scouts instead, so he wasn't killing off as many spears as quickly as he should have. And it looks like, as a result, ACCM is still able to combat him for the moment. Once again, stacking in. Remember, when you go with the spearmen, you have to kill off the scouts. The scouts will heal over time otherwise, and your spearmen do not. Capoch is trying to keep him away from that dock. Realize this is not only shutting him out and costing an extra 150 wood, it's giving over 50 food and gold. It's something that a lot of people forget about. In this situation, when you play against Mongols, it's not just an equatable cost you have to replace. It's additional on top of that. So what would have been 150 resource sink ends up being a 250 resource differential. And that's before we even equate in the missed income from your fishing boats not being able to drop off. Meanwhile, in the north, eyeballs on MarineLorD as he's trying to wrap round here. Just more of these palisades going down to block in, block out. And we do see an Imp Academy being dropped by VNS. This is pretty standard when you're playing on such a big map. There's not really much value in Barbecuing the Sun. In fact, I'm a bigger fan of saving Barbecuing the Sun to a later phase where you want to use it over a choke point. So in this map, this would be perfect. This area right here, like covering half the crossing, or in the north to guard against any flanking attack here would be fantastic for a Barbecuing the Sun. But sticking it back in your base, not really worthwhile unless you're up against, like, you know, double Mongol and they're running mass Magadai at you, which Capoch might get access to soon. And it looks like it's going to be Deerstone on both sides, so ACCM also building into that now is going to be delayed compared to Capoch. He put a lot of aggression out here. Did get his outpost down as well. Doesn't look like he's got quite the range. He does, however, now have a dock. He's going to have to start building up a fleet. The problem is that Capoch is going to beat him into the feudal, and it means he's going to actually have the archer ships out first. And if you ever fall behind this number, it's not going to be good for you or Hera. Hera, already trying to guard against that, does have a galley in position here. And there we go. So Barbecuing the Sun actually going to be dropped back at base. VNS, I said I'm not the biggest fan of this, and I've explained the reasonings, but I can explain the reasoning behind why he does it. It's simply because he wants the Song Dynasty right now. And in fact, I expect him to move out into stone. Yeah, there it is. He's already on there. So he just needs the wood, and then he's good to build a second TC. That's why he done it, by the way, is he wants to scale his economy right now, so he needs that in position preemptively. Otherwise, he would have saved this for later. So many spears from Capoch already pushing in. ACCM's already outnumbered, and they're close to his base. This is a very uncomfortable situation to find yourself in. You can see the chasing in. Remember, they're teched up as well. He hasn't even begun the tech up yet. He hasn't finished the construct. Wait, what? Oh my god, he preemptively garrisoned the villages. That was a little bit wonky there. So bring them out now, but this is just kind of wonky. You have to give up so much ground. Capoch can't be contested right now, and it means you're going to have to surrender your dock here, as you can already see all the spearmen moving across. And this is the worst case scenario. Right now, it just means that your opponents are scaling on the water and you're not. And that's why we see this. VNS, well played. Starts building the junks, ambushes as well. He hit it until he had at least 3, and then he moves in looking to attack. Needs to be careful, though, as there's already a bunch of DAOs coming out. It's only 1 on... No, it's actually 2 on 1 dock. Okay, that's a problem. That's a really big problem. He could actually get spent pretty quick here. And remember, the junks, the moment they run away, they just start dying. Because they don't fire. They only fire forward. And although they do fire hard, right, with the double archers on front, the problem is that if you ever get chased down, the DAOs are faster. Much faster than you. They can stick on top of the 1.88 movement speed. The DAOs. Fishing fleet also moving in. Everything coming. MarineLorD realizes what he can do here. He's going to focus fire onto each individual junk to bring them down. And you can see he's actually microing it as well. He's repairing. And this is the edge that VNS cannot match. This is the problem when you go up against Delhi. You need 2 players here. You need a fishing boat or 2. You need to be able to repair. And because you cannot, you're not able to sink a single damn ship. Other than maybe a fishing boat. You're not getting through these dhows. Instead, they're getting through you. Meanwhile, on the land side, ACCM trying to punish this now as MarineLorD backed away. He is moving in to burn down the dock. That will give him some resource trickle, but it also means he's going to lose some troops to the dhows stationed here. He'll finally back away. Dock will burn up, but we'll get down 1 more fishing boat before it does. And the final junk will fall. This should just be abandoned by VNS now. I don't expect him to contest on this waterfront at the moment. He needs to tech boom up and then to take over water. The problem he has right now is Bact is the only one who's tech boomed up. He rigged his Cathedral, but look at this. He's so defensive, and he's in trouble. Capoch! He's going to run in. Look at the gold line. There's so many villagers here. He's going to quick wall to try and protect himself, but Capoch is going to dive past. He sees the target. And you can lose a lot of villagers here. Stacks in, doesn't pay attention. No! Missed opportunity here. They might still get the old man. It looks like he's even too fast. Really, really missed opportunity there. Could have easily sniped out a few of these villies. And remember, he's strong because his opponent went into these stables. It means that Capoch would have been able to hold his own against the knight spamming out. He did at least prevent people gathering on the gold line, but I'm pretty sure the prelate, yeah, the prelate's already on his way back. They're banking the goodies. So there should be maybe a second one coming soon? No, so he hasn't moved out for that yet. But he's going to bank one of these, so he's already going to get some gold trickle. So even if he can't stick on this gold line, he's absolutely fine. And with the archers now moving out from ACCM, Capoch needs a transition. He needs it soon. He even moved the Deer Stone forward here. You can see how aggressively placed it is compared to the rest of his base. He's finally dropping the archery ranges to try and prep for the problem. The problem is bigger than you'd anticipate, though, because he is up against the knight. So what I'm expecting is this step redoubt to complete and then Capoch to build into the crossbowman. And right now, win condition for Team 2 has to be around MarineLorD's timing on the compound defender. They're going to look to play towards the sacred sites. You can see in the south, they're already capping this courtesy of Hera, and he can wall this off and guard it via the nearby docks, right, building a few units. Then you focus all attention in the center, and then you're talking about a situation where it's MarineLorD just crawling all of these stone walls backed up by the radiant power of Capoch. So if you ever focus too much on the sacred site, you know this Mongol player has the means to sneak in with his Yam network already being in place. And I guess you have to then look and say, okay, what's the wing condition for China in this game, or rather for Vietnam Legends, but especially China? Like, what's China aiming for? Well, we can see he's already got the archer ranges down. He could be going towards crossbowmen, kind of paranoid that he's going to experience knights from the HRE player, but I don't know if you can handle this number of knights. Hera just got a tech up. We're 12.5 minutes in, and he's already up at the Imperial Age, and he's got the Palace of Swabia. So now he's going to be the big eco-boomer. Bact trying to match him, but the raids early on cost him a lot. Look at his gold count. His food is glorious, but his gold is lacking. And while he'll finally start to bank these Regnitz Cathedral relics, he did get delayed on that by the raids, not to mention being pulled off the gold line. And that's the difference right now. Capoch is the difference. If I look at these 2 Mongol players, I've been underwhelmed by ACCM. ACCM has always been a step behind Capoch, and Capoch has always been applying pressure. And remember that also, despite the fact they both played a little bit more sacrificial in their tech up, Capoch managed to still get up to Castle Age first, right? We're actually witnessing ACCM, last person in the lobby, going up to Castle Age now. With Compound the Defender complete, I do expect to see a push out soon of some infantry to try and wall up around here. But for the moment, MarineLorD is actually spinning it different. Look at this. He's building the Lancers, so he's moving across the map in force towards China's location. China, who won't be prepped for this. Look what they built. And look what they're building right now. No! Okay, this is a big mistake. You're up against both the Delhi and the HRE, and your move as the Chinese in this game for VNS is to build Zhugnu. That is a Zhugnu mistake right there. I'm confused. I mean, VNS, we saw some weird optimizations or weird tweaks to his game plan in Game 1, and now Game 2? I'm losing hair right now. I can feel the hair follicles vibrating out of the pores on my head. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of other players feeling the same way. The Lancers will show up. And so many villagers exposed. Snipe in. Won't be able to find any of them just yet. He's going to back off for the moment, shows a little bit of respect because he's only got a few trickles of Lancers here. But when you move in and you see 5 archery rangers still producing Zhugnu, you're just clapping, all right? The World War II Russian victory song is playing in your head. You are feeling so damn good right now. Oh my god, he's just letting so many villies die because there's nowhere for them to run. The tax official? The tax official? Okay, come on. No, no, not like this. Okay, he's going to lose him as well. He's on an automated tax route. Doesn't lose a second just yet, but now the Zhugnu are going to start getting cleaned up. More of these Lancers coming in as well, and still no transition. This is such a big error out of VNS, and it's costing him so much of this game. And he's going to drag his teammates down with him at this rate. Hera now moving in with the Elite Knights already. And these are Elite Knights versus Normie Knights. Look how little they can hold. Magadai chasing in as well. Vet Magadai up against the Vet Archers, but these Vet Archers have problems. It is the Knights sticking on top of them. They at least have the Yam movement speed for the moment, and they are on the home field with the Deer Stone is. But these Knights are always going to gap close. It takes them a little bit longer, but they will get on top of you. And look, the crossbowmen, they're the ones at the front. The formation error from ACCM is going to cost him a lot of his effective DPS against these Knights. And he might eventually get rid of Hera here, but Hera, he has a favorable trade there. All things considered, on the home field against multiple players, you feel good about this. Back up, look to finish off these Knights. Bact was finally able to upgrade to the Elite Knight status. Meanwhile, looks like Lancers have finally been repelled, but where's the lesson learned here? It looks like he finally done it. Crossbowmen are coming out. VNS, you should be counting your lucky stripes, my friend. If this was a one-on-one, your game would already be done. You would have been punished to the maximum for this. So he's going to go mass crossbowman at this stage. And that doesn't mean we're going to need to see a switch up. MarineLorD doesn't really have many options available to him, though. He is playing as Delhi, and most of your units are classified as heavy, the good ones that you want to go for anyway. You could see a switch up coming out of Hera. Hera could opt to go into, like, Langsnecht, but Man-at-Arms, they're still going to suffer against heavy, right? So overall, I think you need to get some siege weapons in your composition. We talked about that win condition right around the Sacred Sites, and they are holding it. I think they've had it for 2 or 3 minutes already. Sorry, I can't track that because for some reason, Sacred Site is cursed. You can't tell. But they have had it for 2 or 3 minutes at least. And more Lancers in again. VNS, down to 90 eco. For reference, ACCM at 51. So you're still good overall, right? Because you did more TTC as China with the Song Dynasty. That's why he's this well off. But Hera is the one who's booming. 102 civies already compared to Bact, who's sitting down at 73. Remember, his Imperial Age got delayed due to the early aggression coming out from Capoch with his Mongol army. And you can see the crawl forward. MarineLorD moving out to wall off the east side. Make sure there's no wraparound there. I am expecting stonewalls in the center as well coming out of MarineLorD soon. They just need to lock this down, make it very hard for their opponents to push through. With them going up in the Imperial Age, it is a bit harder to stop because they can get access to the bombards. But overall, you feel good. And oh my god, the count for Hera! Bact! Where's the army? Where's the army right now? He got greedy! Hera, he might just win this on his own. He marches straight into the base of ACCM and he overwhelms the Knights and the Mongols. And they are full and fast. The Magadais to assist, getting through these Knights one by one. Bact forced to retreat, but you can't retreat. If you do, ACCM's in trouble. And now Capoch should move across to deal with these spearmen that have been coming out one by one. But they are going to run rampant through your base. ACCM, his whole economy feels like he's grinded to a halt. He's only got a small group of villagers gathering berries and some people still in the step readout, but he's going to surrender anyway. They give it up. What a play out of Hera. So greedy yet so effective. Understands his timings, understands how to min-max the knight count and then plows on through. Between that and the Lancer spam coming out and the suboptimal choices made by China in this game, it just seemed all too easy for the boys in the north to ride south and claim their dominance over the region. Yeah, that was really impressive. The way he scaled up, Hera had done a fantastic job here. You can actually see where he starts to pull away. It's about 4 minutes before that. This was when this was around when they had that battle, and we saw that it was the Normie Knights versus the Elite Knights. And Hera, despite being 2v1 in the opponent's base, was still trading quite well with so few Knights. After that fight, we just see a pause, right? And that pause is intentional because Hera understands that he's ahead. All he has to do is wait for Capoch to bring his army up. And even if MarineLorD isn't there, MarineLorD is doing a damn good job in this game because although he's not involved in the main fight, he's involved in the proxy war on the side with China, right? He's just sieging them constantly. He's moving in. He's raiding their lands. He's making sure that they can't actually build out and move out. And that detail is enough to close this one out. Really well played. I think Hera definitely was the difference maker in conjunction with the control they had over the Central Lake. If it wasn't for that Central Lake control, I think the HRE players are more closely matched on their timings in teching up. But because they're not, Hera gets ahead, and I've said it before, you know, he's got HRE in the name. It makes sense that he knows how to HRE in the game. And that's exactly what we got here in game number 2 coming out from him and the boys. Capoch, MarineLorD, Hera, still just looking like the most dominant force in the 3v3s. These lads are looking really scary going into the tournament in January, and I'm looking forward to seeing more because after a small break, we should be back with game number 3. Well, say a small break. It's 8 hours for you guys. If you'd watch live, you wouldn't have to wait this long.